Madam President, I rise after fulsome debate. I think every member who's present and has the right to speak did, in fact, speak, and I believe that the contributions all have been noted by the public. I have seen some commentary already, and it is a matter which, notwithstanding the bill itself is quite short, it clearly is a matter which has attracted a lot of attention. I should just respond very briefly to say to the member opposite that the suggestion that the matter would have been presented for first reading and then we would have gone to elicit public opinion because, as the member put it, she was not alerted to the fact that there was any public consultation, meaning perhaps there was no town hall or anything. That, as I indicated, Madam President, when I introduced the second reading, that we had had feedback. In fact, the public ought to know that the bill that we are seeking to pass today is fundamentally different to what had been proposed. And this is a result of the feedback that we got. Our constituents and others would have come forward and said, listen, this is what we suggest. How can we make it better? And we as a government listen. And so we have come with something today which is different in nature and which we feel gives the opportunity for balance. And that's what we're seeking to achieve. Now, I have heard words thrown around and accusations levied. But the reality is that if the opposition members had done what they were supposed to do, there would have been no need for us to be here. Because somebody over there would have been leader of the opposition, somebody over there would have had a senator appointed, somebody over there would have advised the Deputy Governor General of who the member of the Integrity Commission should be. The fact that they chose not to have their house in order means that there was no leader of the opposition. And it is apparent, and I want to agree with the member, senator, here on our side, that my interpretation, language is used to convey meaning. And my interpretation of what the good member for number 4 has said to the House today, by accusing the Premier of Nevis of seeking somehow to grab power and using words like dictatorial, that she has already determined that she is not going to agree to any member to go on the commission. To me, it is obvious. Why do I say that? Because the structure of what we are proposing today is to say the third member of the commission will be appointed on the advice of the leader of the opposition. If there is none, then the third member will be appointed on the advice of the member or members of the opposition. Only if there is no member or members of the opposition, or they cannot agree. That is the only time the Premier gets involved. So when I hear this chatter about the Premier trying to do this and the Premier trying to do that, the leader of the opposition, if tomorrow they could get their house in order and there's a leader of the opposition, problem solved. Absent that, the two members must speak to each other. The language I heard was to grow up. This is not children melee, you know. Grow up, speak to each other, focus on the people's business. Suppress your personal dislike and personal whatever. The people of St. James and the people of St. Thomas's are who you should be focused on. So they must talk to each other and come up with somebody who they say is their nominee. Only if they fail to do that does the Premier have to step in, because if I don't step in, well, how is the commission going to get constituted? We cannot allow the Integrity Commission to be held hostage by the dysfunctional nature of the opposition. So if they do not agree, That is the only time at which the Premier, and even then, the law is saying the Premier should consult with the opposition. I don't know what else could any government be asked to do. What else can we be asked to do? And I personally, Madam President, if I'm a little, I don't want to use the word emotional, but if I'm a little shrill, it is because I don't like when people create their confusion and try to blame me for their confusion. I don't have nothing to do with NRP. Nothing to do with them. We went into an election. The election was determined. They start with their confusion early o'clock. And now, the consequences of that confusion are being laid bare for everybody to see. They start to cost the government. What is that? We never created their confusion. We are now trying, forced you, everybody over here said they have work to do. I'm sure, Madam President, you have work to do. The good clerk who's here, all of us in here. We are forced to be here. Because they cannot get their house in order, we have now to come and create a workaround. That's really what is happening, you know. We are creating a workaround. We are saying, well, we expected that this would be the position, but since there's some growing up that is necessary, that hasn't happened, let us come back in the House and ensure that the work of the Integrity Commission is not stymied. Now I'm hearing them talk about some of their commentators about corruption and all kind of thing on our side. Oh, it would have been an easy thing for us to say, well, the Integrity Commission can't function. NRP not appointing any person, the opposition not appointing any person, so let us just leave that on the shelf. To the contrary, we ask the legal department, we say we need to solve this because the Integrity Commission must function. Does that sound like a government which is trying to hide things? Must function. And one must wonder. One must wonder, you know, because, as I said, sometimes you have to look for meaning. Whether or not it is possible that some other people don't want the commission to function. I know I could say, before God and man, my hands are clean. I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to look over my shoulder. I sleep very good at nights. So I know I can file and I have no problem. If they have questions, then they come and ask me. Everything I have, I work for. Let them come and ask me. I have no difficulty. But one must now start to wonder whether some don't want the commission to be constituted, don't want the commission to function. You hear them come in and say, oh, the commission, it was, what is it? Start wrong? Well, if it started wrong, the elections of December 12th last year gave an opportunity to correct all the wrong. Why do I say that? Because unlike in 2018 when there was only one member opposite, they now have two. And all that it needed is for two people to do the right thing and to set aside whatever it is that they have and focus on the people who they're supposed to represent. This House could have benefited from the richness of a senator on the other side. Madam President, we have budget coming up. Could have benefited if you bring somebody in here with some gravitas and some experience and can contribute. Could have benefited. But the country is being deprived of a senator opposite. What, are they going to blame us for that too? I am hearing the discussion saying that I must try to amend the Constitution. Well, I'm happy that the good senator here on our benches, Honorable Troy Liebert, made the point that we can't amend the Constitution from Nevis, Madam President. That's legal heresy. But you see what I said when you come to things that you don't understand? Because people who have not informed themselves, they have not equipped themselves, they have not prepared themselves for this journey. They just jump upon, they see me here. And somehow get people to vote for them. And they reach. And I'm saying, even if you reach through that way, well, Lord, take a chance and do some reading. You have people in this house who don't even know the history of the party that they represent. So when you hear some of the comments, you understand that they don't understand the history. They have not even taken the time because they were never interested in no politics. We know. You see what you call it, what Johnny Mary come lately? Mary come lately, last shower rain. They had no interest in this thing. And that is not, that's okay. You have come now. Well, inform yourself. Equip yourself. And perhaps some of the commentary that we would have heard could be avoided because people would come and we would do more here to educate each other and educate the listening public instead of what we have passed in, which clearly is vacuous, empty, and without substance. Madam President, we cannot from Nevis amend the Constitution. We can only work with it and work within the confines. Any constitutional amendment would have to be proposed at the federal parliament. And we know how difficult it is because some aspects of our Constitution are entrenched, some are doubly entrenched. Some require 2/3 vote in the parliament. They require referenda, not just one, one in Sinkis and another one in Nevis, both of which must get 2/3. So when I hear people out there talking and saying that the Constitution, which was drafted by whom? NRP was involved in the drafting of the Constitution. We weren't around then. So you've produced a document, and I'm not knocking the document. It is what it is. It has served us well. But let us be sensible in terms of our discussions with our public and not create this fantasy that somehow we have the power over here to amend the Constitution. Give the leader of the opposition to somebody. Well, who are we going to give it to? We have 2 members over there, one from 4 and one from 5. What am I going to do? Close my eyes and say, eeny, meeny, miny, mo? Spin a coin? Because as there is a God above, all of us in here know, and all of us on this island know, that if the member for number 4 was somehow to be declared leader of the opposition, the member for number 5 is going to say no. Member for number 4 win by how much? 8 votes? Number for number 5 win by 200 and something. She can say no. And if by some wave of a magic wand, the member for number 5 were to be declared leader of the opposition, the member for number 4 going to say tal. No. So how I get into that? How the government get into that? Let us put the responsibility where the responsibility lies. Right. And it lies at the feet of the opposition. And the lack of leadership that the opposition has had. It's a failure of leadership. Don't come trying to blame us. We're not involved with the opposition and we don't involve ourselves in their business. If they can't get their house in order, and that point is made, and it has been made so eloquently by the speakers before me on my side, the government side, that if you can't manage small things, how are you going to manage big things? Think government easy? Think government easy? And when you come to it because you're only interested in a title, oh, I'm the Premier of Nevis. That's what you're interested in. You have no interest in the difficulties. You have not even taken the time to learn how government functions. Because you just jump up one morning and say, I wake up, let me try a thing. And that is the reality of what we face here. If you cannot manage small things, you can't run a party. You're going to run Nevis. How? Can't happen. Nevis, you deal with different people from across all parties. Some are CCM, some are NRP, some are no party at all. And some CCM today and NRP tomorrow. How are you going to run Nevis? It's a failure of leadership, and we must call it for what it is. And stop the pretense that somehow it's the government's fault. It's not our fault. And we're here to try and fix it, to give the opposition yet another opportunity. The point, Madam Senator, is well made. Yet another opportunity to appoint somebody to the Integrity Commission. Now, will they take that opportunity? Or will they squander the opportunity? Because the Integrity Commission could have tomorrow a member appointed by the opposition if there can be consensus among them. And I'm here to say, and I'm not shy to say, if they can't get the house in order, I will make the necessary recommendation to the Deputy GG so that the commission can do its work. Nevis cannot be held hostage by a dysfunctional opposition. The days for that are done, are over. We've been waiting and waiting and waiting. We have come now to create a mechanism to allow us to move forward. And so I wish this bill safe passage. I believe that the case has been made as to why we're here and why we need the amendments in order to allow the commission to function. May it please you.